People's Radio United.
Police departments, they have incredible media machines. They have incredible public relations apparatuses. They have relationships with the media. They have control over crime scenes. They have control over access to information, and that gives them a big leg up with all the news outlets in town. And that's just one of the ways I can think of. There's lots of others.
You're right. I mean, they control the information, but they also they get a jump on things. Like, we see this every time in cases where the cops kill somebody. Every single time, and not just in Minnesota, every single state in the country, every single municipality does it the same way. It's like, because it works for them, right? What they do is, person X gets shot by the cops. Instantly, it's like, police had to shoot so-and-so, person X as a suspect in X crime. You don't know if they actually were involved in the crime or whatever suspect. Then the next thing they do is they trot out person X's record, and in second grade, he failed a math test, and all of this stuff, right? They trot all this crap out of the person to make them like they're not a good person. So they vilify the person. This person now, you realize, is dead, so has no ability to defend themselves. The family is so aggrieved because usually these are young people. And one of the things I can tell you as a parent is that you never expect to outlive your children. You do not want to or expect to outlive your children. And so these parents are dealing with their children. Some of them are teens and young adults who are full of life, valued members of their family. And these people get murdered by the cops. Next thing you know, the media is just bashing this person, but you're so aggrieved. You've just found out about it. You're trying to figure out funeral arrangements. You don't even know which way's up from down, and they're bashing your family member, and you can't even think about how to, deal with this stuff. One of the things that I do in my group, Communities United Against Police Brutality, is I'm the person that deals mostly with families of people who've been killed by police. It has to do with the fact that my nursing background gives me a good ability to help these folks. But there are several steps that need to happen that most people would never think of. The average person doesn't know how to get an interview with the media or do any of these things, write a coherent statement for the media. They don't even know this stuff. And they're not being represented by lawyers at the time to help them with any of these things. So, a lot of times what we do, the first thing they do is they want to put that person X picture in the paper. So they find some mugshot, some old mugshot from 20 years ago or something, and put it in the paper. What I do is I help people select a good picture for the media. I help them prepare a media statement and deal with media issues. I look into whether they need to do try to get an independent autopsy, and all of this sort of stuff. There's a lot of considerations. And these are all happening in the immediate aftermath of their family member being murdered, and them having to deal with all of that grief and all of that, actual practical stuff like making a funeral for this person and things like that. And so, the cops, they don't care about the person being murdered. They're not emotionally attached in any way. They've got a PR machine that can come out and here's why this was necessary and here's this bad person we did it to. You don't care about this bad person, do you? I mean, that's the whole framing of this stuff, is vilify the person and justify the police's actions toward that person consequently. And they're doing it because they don't want to pay out any money for lawsuits. It's really disgusting. It's kind of like the capitalist answer to police murders of people,
Right. One thing I've noticed is when somebody is shot by the police or assaulted by the police really severely, if the police had a reason for shooting that person, that most common sense people would say, well, yeah, if I were in that situation, I'd have to do that too. They can come up with video really quick,
right?
But then if it's shady, if the reason is not good, I notice all of a sudden, well, it's part of a murder investigation, or it's part of a criminal investigation, and we can't reveal it because that would compromise the integrity of the investigation. It's like these two things, and we actually have a thing here in Wichita, and where a police officer shot somebody that he was chasing, a suspect he was chasing, and they said, well, he was running into a packed auditorium with a gun. So the officer, and he had shown signs of violence, so the officer had to shoot him for the safety of everybody in the auditorium. Well, a lot of people said, well, yeah, that makes sense. And let's see the body camera footage. Well, what was released was not the footage. What was released was a still video that was blurry, that the person may or may not have had an object, that may or may not have been a gun. You can't tell by looking at this picture. And that's all they've released. And now it's a year later, and they haven't released that. And this happens, I'm talking about Wichita right now. There's some very cool cops in Wichita. I've run into some cops who are very cool. They're very friendly, and I'm not trying to slam Wichita and say Wichita is bad. Coming from Minneapolis, I can tell you it's a lot nicer here in Wichita than it is in Minneapolis, and particularly St. Paul, as far as police go. But this happens not just in Wichita. This is happening all over the place. The police are sitting on body camera video, or they're releasing a still that doesn't tell the whole picture, which kind of goes back to last week when we were talking about body cams aren't really a solution, because the police only release them when it benefits them. What's the point of the body cam if we can't see it?
Well, hell, they don't even take the footage, or maybe they take it and erase it when it suits them. But I want to go back to something you said a second ago that caught my attention. You were talking about, some of the police are very cool there in Wichita, such and so forth. It isn't actually about good cops and bad cops. I'm going to go right back to the thing I always say. It's about a bad system, because it, allows these things to occur, and it does nothing to stop them. It doesn't discipline them, thus, encouraging the bad conduct. So it's a bad system, because it validates bad policing by not addressing it in any meaningful way. And so, you could have a lot of really cool people in Wichita. Maybe their system is even better, probably is better than Minneapolis. But it's not really about the people and all that. It's about, the institution, because it validates bad policing for a whole host of reasons, not the least of which is financial, but also because bad policing serves the interests of some people. Brutal policing, bad policing, whatever frame you want to, police misconduct, whatever frame you want to use or call it, that stuff actually benefits some people. Some people derive a benefit from that. And by that, I mean generally the elites, the people that run things, the powers that be, whatever name you want to use. They benefit. They derive a benefit from keeping things in the status quo, kind of keeping the riffraff, so-called, down, this sort of stuff. So we have to think about who benefits from police brutality and misconduct. Any problem that continues to go on and on is because somebody wants it to happen. And it's, in this case, it's a lot of somebody's,
Yeah,
so,
definitely. I remember.
They figure out ways to solve them real fast. But basically, this is a problem that they like. So, I want to just throw that out there.
No, you're right. I remember Dave Bicking from your organization. He once told me, he just said, the dirty little secret is the city loves its brutal cops. The city wants this to happen.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, he's absolutely right.